Good morning, everyone. My name is Vipal Kumar Singh, working as a lecturer of computer science and a research scholar from NIT Patna. Today's talk is on my paper published in Genomics Journal, Machine Learning Methods using Position-Specific Mutation-Based Classification outperform one-hot encoding for disease severity prediction in hemophilia A disease. First of all, I would like to say thank you for providing this amazing platform, mentors and audience, and special thankful to respected Professor Sanjeev Srivastava sir, Arup sir, Radhika ma'am, and all intellectual community of Omics Bootcamp. Today's talk is arranged in this manner. First, we discuss about genetic disorder hemophilia, then European patient factor data set, followed by how we process these data set, reprocessing of these data set, mutation data set concepts and overview, analysis and result, conclusion of your work, future work, followed by references. Hemophilia, a genetic blood disorder. It is a rare X-linked disease. In this disease, blood does not clot properly. In human body, there are some clotting factors who are responsible for stop bleeding when any injury occurs. When hemophilic patients met with an injury, due to lower amount of those missing factors, blood does not clot properly, and huge amount of blood loss may cause their death. Hemophilia A is a condition where lower amount of coagulation factor 8, and hemophilia B is a condition where coagulation factor 9 is present in lower amount in our human body. If you saw the figure, a female with one affected X chromosome is a carrier of hemophilia. Sometimes this female in condition, sometimes a female who is carrier can have also symptoms of hemophilia. In addition, she can pass the affected X chromosome with the clotting factor gene mutation 1 to her children. And this figure, uh, this one has hemophilia H disease, and this daughter XX a carrier of this hemophilia disease. In this study, we focus on mutation data set of European patients that are public available. At the time of study, this data set contains around 7,784 rows patient samples with approximate 17 features. In this slide, the snapshot of raw data mentioned here. In this data set, I have which type of mutation occurred, case ID, the mutation occurred, affected missense type, silent type, nonsense type of frame, at which cDNA position mutation happens shown in success context field, domain, coding region also given where the mutation occurs, the HGBS recommended nomenclature shown in mutation field, and protein change feature shows about which protein is formed due to mutation. And finally, we have the our target feature severity level. In this case, hemophilia can be divided into three categories: severe, mild, and moderate. These are the required field to analyze and predict the severity of any mutation happened using our in silico data analysis. For severity prediction, we use many machine learning algorithms, but for this first, but this is raw data, this is textual data, it cannot be used by any machine learning algorithm. First, we want to convert this data set into machine readable format. So the pre-processing of this data is much needed. There are various mechanisms were present to encode the data, like label encoding, dictionary mapping, binding coding, one-hot encoding. They are selected on the base. These techniques are selected on the basis of some criteria. There are two pie charts. The first pie chart shows the type of mutations present in our dataset, and the second shows the effect of point mutation in our dataset. In the first pie chart, we here we saw that 81.4% point mutation present in this European patient data set, while 12.4% deletion type of mutation present, duplication present 5.3, and very less amount of insertion and uh, indel type of mutation present in this data set, who are responsible for disease severity. The effect of that mutation, that point mutation, when we describe, there are three types of effect: missense type of effect, nonsense type of effect, silent type of effect. In hemophilia disease, in this data set, total 83.5% data, missense data, are responsible for severity of the disease. 14.4% nonsense type of effect mutations are present for disease severity, and only 2.1% silent cases are responsible for hemophilia disease in current data set. This is all about the dataset overview. So, as we discussed about one-hot encoding, these are the two fields, mutation and protein change, where variations are very high. If we apply another encoding, what are the effects, what are the problems? But when variations are high and machine learning algorithms need better accuracy, then we apply one-hot encoding. So, when we apply one-hot encoding, then we get 3115 and that means columns are blow up to 3115 columns, and memory uses around 149.4 MB when we traditionally encode our data. So, what is one hot encoding? It creates a binary column for each category and returns a sparse matrix or dense array. It is used because it avoids, in simple words, if n unique mutation was present in any mutation feature, then apply one hot encoding, we get n minus 1 columns additionally. It means our machine learning algorithms uh, not confused because other encoding mechanisms have any kind or order of hierarchy, but one hot encoding create additional columns for each category. But due to achieve this feature, the space can really blow up quickly, and normal data set convert into large dimensional data, and we start facing the curse of dimensionality. Due to advancement in research, mutation data set enrich day by day, and it can be used by many applications to analyze the impact. This analysis is computationally too expensive. To reduce the dimension of data, we use some feature selection or feature reduction techniques that are very popular nowadays, but these techniques have some drawbacks like compromise with quality of data. So our main concern is anyway present to overcome the drawback of above said encoding scheme. So, is there any other way to encode this data in efficient manner by which we analyze severity prediction in optimal state? Before moving, first we brush up some basic concepts regarding mutation. What is the HGBS recommendation? All over worldwide, by using traditional study, any changes reported at DNA level must be reported using HGBS recommendation, in which if any changes are occurred found at coding DNA sequence, it will be reported with G dot. If any changes found at genomic sequence, it will be represented by G dot. Like this, if any changes occurred at protein level, we show by E dot, E dot wild residue, E dot wild residue. This is the gene wild residue 76 at the position with arginine. This is the factor 8 sequence isoform, shows that contains around total 2351 amino acids are present in the isoform of factor 8. Here we refer position means location of amino acids in the isoform. If any mutation happens, it will be reported by HGBS recommendation. For example, at position 1, here Vasa M is present at position 1. M is present and it is replaced by V. This is the one letter amino acid code. Then it will represented by HGBS nomenclature is P dot. P refers to changes at protein level. MET refers to actual protein or wild residue that will allow here, but due to mutation, it will be changed or replaced by a val. So the nomenclature allows to report this mutation by using this nomenclature P dot MET 1 val. Same is the other position number 2223. Arginine present the one letter code of arginine is R. R is replaced by T. Then it will be referred as P dot changes at protein level P. Arginine at 22 location replaced by THR. Same at the position level 23. Arginine is replaced by GLY P dot. So this is the nomenclature used by HGBS recommended pattern. When we find a relationship among with wild residue and new residue at protein level, then we found unique 160 records out of total 6,286. When we focus on position in isoform of factor 8, total 2,351 amino acids were present. That means total 2,051 position we have. Where mutation may happen. Out of 2,351, total 882 locations found in 6,286 records, with highest impact position where frequency mutation was at position number 200, position number 612, where 27 times mutation. In table 3, mutation with the combination of severity was analyzed and it will provide 399 unique records out of total dataset. That shows maximum severe cases due to nonsense mutation is arginine to cysteine is 406 times. As discussed in previous slide, when we summarize these three tables with respect to mutation and position, then we distinguish the severity of disease in ascending order. The top three mutations are arginine to cysteine, arginine to STP, stop codon, hyrine to cytosine, where the frequency of mutation is 601, 429, and 266 times respectively. But when we focus on the breakup of these mutations in the basic.
Can I just interject, Nitesh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the audio is not clear. So I have talked with the speaker. I think he is ready to give a live presentation. So he can continue from where we are stopping the video,
Okay, sir.
right?
Thank you.
That's good idea, Rupi.
Because the audio is not at all coming clear and we are missing out on much important information.
Yes, sir.
So he's online. He can start presenting from where we are stopping.
Okay, sir. Thank you. It's okay.
Okay, Vikalp, you can start sharing your screen.
Sir, I am audible?
Yeah, you're audible and you are clear. So you can start from where you left.
Sorry for the audio quality.
Yeah, now you're perfectly fine. So please continue.
Okay, sir.
Maybe you can go full screen for the presentation.
Okay, sir. So, first of all, when we statistically analyze the data, we found this is the three tables are present. First one is around the how mutation are correspondence in between in this data set. Then we found 160 unique mutations are present in this data set. Around total 6,286 data are present. Mutations are present in which 160 mutations unique mutation we found in this table. Then we focus about position. They out of 2,351 positions, we got 882 locations where mutations happened. And in that position, 612 and 2169, these are the frequent positions where mutations occur. When we analyze the relationship between the severity of the disease and the wild residue and new residue, then we find arginine to STP. That means the missense type of mutation are much more responsible for severe type of cases. So this is the analysis, statistical analysis that done on the data set. When we found some interesting facts, when we summarize all these three tables into single one, the top three mutations are arginine to cysteine, arginine to STP. STP refers as a stop codon. We refer as the arginine to cysteine. Arginine to cysteine occurs 601 in in our data set. Arginine to STP occurs 429 times, and thyrine to cysteine occurs 246 times in our data set. But when we figure out the severity of cases, then we saw out of 601 cases, there are 30 mild cases, 113 moderate cases, and 108 severe cases. So it clearly shows that only mutation is not a responsible thing for position of that mutation, but but there are some other facts also. So we categorize on the basis of mutation. Then we find very interesting thing. Mutation position plays a key role to determine the severity of disease. On the behalf of this statistical analysis, we proposed a PSM approach, position specific mutation encoding approach. What is this? In this proposed specific position specific approach, we first select the protein change feature, that is T dot cysteine SAM 76 SCN. For example, first we remove T dot from this feature from this column. Then we replace star. जो stop codon is represented by star. It converted into STP to make it into three-letter code, because dataset contains all proteins into three-letter codes. Then we separate the selected feature into three distinguished columns by using this short script. By using this script, we distinguish this column. After that, we convert this three-letter code into one-letter code, and then perform label encoding to both wild residue and new residue of the protein. And after that, we perform machine learning algorithms. So the overall workflow of our work is, initially we have 7,784 patient data with 17 features. This is the EHAD mutation data set of hemophilia patients. Then we pre-process data, drop redundant and noisy data. Then we get only 6,286 features samples with 11 features. After that, we simultaneously apply traditional one-hot encoding as well as our proposed PSM approach. So when we apply one-hot encoding on mutation and protein change feature and pre-process data for prediction, then we saw that features are fixed 6,286, but the features 11 features can really blow up quickly, and it can become around 3,115 columns. So the small data set, by using this encoding scheme, we get large converted into large data set. While when we apply PSM approach on these two features only, mutation and protein change feature, then we get extra 3 fields only. So our data set contains 6 to 8 features with only 15 features. After that, we apply machine learning classifier on both encoding schemes, one-hot encoding process data and proposed PSM approach. And after in ML classifier, we used four types of classifiers here: AdaBoost, KNN, and random forest and SVM. Both are most popular data, machine learning algorithms. Here we perform, and the results are, in the terms of accuracy we talk, the result of all these four classifiers are in KNN, SVM, and random forest. In all three algorithms, PSM approach perform much better than OHE process dataset. But in AdaBoost, this PSM approach may not work like all. It is just because of the nature of AdaBoost. AdaBoost is work on basis of sequencing ensembling. When the features are high, it performs better. But the accuracy was much more higher in SVM and random forest. So the approach is work well in the severity prediction. So we can say that the quality of data maintained when using PSM approach. Now we focus on computational cost. So we focus on what is effect on training time and prediction time. First of all, we saw the training time comparison and prediction time. Visually, we saw the bar graph. There are large difference in between the uh, training and prediction time. The blue bars are OHE time that are in seconds, and the orange bars are shown in PSM prediction, training time and prediction time. So there are large difference. But when we analyze on in the basis of percent how much time improvement or decrement are present, we show in this in tabular format. In OHE training time, KNN takes 2.433 seconds to train the data, while AdaBoost take 158.39 seconds to process data, while SVM and Random Forest take 114.34 and 117.49 seconds respectively. But when we check a PSM training data set, there are large difference. KNN takes only 0.0362 second in training time. AdaBoost takes only 5.2450 second. SVM takes 4.543 seconds. Random Forest can take only 3.72 seconds. So the overall improvement is in training time is approx 91 to 98% improvement in computational cost. So when we check prediction time, OHE process data, KNN takes 76.67 seconds for process prediction, the severity of disease. AdaBoost take 20.52, SVM take 47.43, Random Forest take 2.39 seconds. While PSM has very little time, KNN takes 0.2755, AdaBoost take only 0.9569, SVM 1.2839, and Random Forest just take 0.46 seconds only. So the prediction time improvement around 80% to 99.64%. This is a huge improvement in the terms of prediction time. So the computational cost and as well as when we talk about storage capacity, initially in initial slide we saw that after processing OHE, 149.4 MB size of OHE processed dataset, while PSM dataset takes only 680 KB. 68 KB. There are large difference of memory. So the SNP data when large enough, so the memory space as well as or accuracy as well as computational cost are very well improved. So the conclusion of this study, PSM approach gives a remarkable improvement in terms of less time consumed by machine learning algorithms for training and testing of data, and achieve higher accuracy in prediction of severity level of this hemophilia mutation disorder. While those statistical analysis
will provide headway for selection of appropriate cases for gene therapy. If we select those cases that are much appropriate, that are frequent position, gene therapy is, I am from computer science background, I am not well known, but gene therapy is the, if we uh, amount amount segregated by factor 8 and gene, if little bit improved, the life of hemophilic patients much more improved. It is helpful to take appropriate cases for gene therapy. Future work for this purpose is, this study is, the performance of various tools who take SNP data as input may improve by integrating with their this PSM approach. There are many tools are present in bioinformatics like iMutant, SIFT. They are taking SNP data as input and predict something like protein stability or and anything. So when we integrate this PSM approach, the time taken by these tools are consumed very less. Uh, PSM approach encodes only point mutation. This is the loophole or drawback of this approach. Further, we focus on other type of mutation like indel, insertion, and delete mutation. How can we incorporate in this approach so we can handle this type of mutation also? That's it. These are the references. Thank you, and sorry for the audio quality. I will next time I will focus on that.
Thank you, Vikal Kumar. Actually, you have done a really great job. I would like to request if anybody want to ask any question.
Yeah, first of all, Vikal, this is your PhD work or what kind of research you're doing?
Yes, sir.
You're in
It's
which
my
year?
it's my research work, sir.
Right. Which year of PhD you are in?
Sir, actually, actually I am just joined PhD, and this will publish on my MTech from MNIT, and I just at July I joined NIT Patna for part-time PhD. So
All
it's
right.
my
No, very good. So I think you are, this is your MTech work. Still, you're able to publish and finish it off. That's pretty good. Uh, how are you going to take this work forward in your PhD, and what newer approaches will you try?
sir, I would like to work on SNP data basically. So I just joined proteogenomics course also from NPTEL last semester, and I would like to work on cancer TCGA based data. So I learn some topics, and maybe uh, in 2-3 months I will on work on my problem statements also.
Right. No, I think in this area you have a lot of data available, so good to utilize the TCGA resource
Yes,
and
sir.
try to
Actually,
utilize
actually,
approaches over
actually,
there.
sir, I am new. I take some problems, so I communicate with Radhika ma'am. So get resources from Dr. Arup sir. Give me some resources to provide for providing this area. So I am working on that, sir.
All right. So that's good. So presentation wise, it was good. I just have a suggestion for you. Like when you make these kind of seminar presentations, it's a good idea to also add the literature review. Like what others are
Okay.
doing in the same space, and
Okay.
how then you can of course highlight your work, but then that makes the topic more complete for an audience to follow. And also then you will learn a lot, in the process that how others are doing, utilizing different approaches of data analysis, right? So that's something for the future. But let's now open up for more questions from the audience.
Vikalp, this is Arup. Yeah, you were talking about mutation and
Yes,
how
sir.
the position of a mutation can affect the severity of the disease. Since the position of the mutation will also, translate into a
Sir,
different kind of protein.
sir, voice is not clear, sir.
Just
Hello.
hold on a minute.
Arup, we can hear you well actually.
Am I audible now? Clear?
You
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Vikalp, the question I was asking, but you are talking about position-specific mutations, and which obviously translates into different kinds of proteins. So if there is a stop mutation, you have a truncated protein. If there are changes in the protein, in the amino acid codon, you have altered amino acids, so which will make again change the structure of the protein. And there is a very well-established fact that the structure and the function of a protein are, thoroughly interlinked. So, regarding this work, have you tried modeling the? When you find that these specific mutations are severe, have you tried modeling those proteins using
No,
any
sir.
in
No,
silico
no,
modeling
no,
tool?
sir. Right. Right now, I am not modeling not working on the modeling of proteins, but in future, I would like to add on in this work.
Yeah, I think that can be a very really interesting way to look at it. That how the protein structure has changed, and protein being a biochemical molecule. So once few of the stuff changes, there are mutations, there would obviously be altered kind of interactions with its corresponding partners. So I think this is one aspect where you can look into it, but overall a very good presentation. And since you have brought up this topic, because in omics we really strive to bring in newer topics, so congratulations to you. It was an entirely new topic, and maybe you can also take few basic lessons on machine learning approaches for all of us. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions or suggestions? Anybody
Hello.
else?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
This is Ankit here. So
Yes.
I
You can
wanted
proceed.
to ask that you are searching for this position specific mutations or like single variants. So what is the approach of identifying these variants? Means by
Can you?
aligning, or how are you identifying these variants?
No, I am working on the isoform of that protein, not on the basis of alignment.
Yes,
The pro
how did you come to the conclusion that this position is mutated? Means,
mutation that is given on the data set of public available data set of EHAD, where the in vivo and in vitro analysis are given reported already, uh, from where we get the data.
okay, but you said that you want to work on all these huge data sets like TCGA data sets. The problem is that
I want
we
I
do,
want I want to
yeah,
work on TCGA data
yeah, yeah,
set.
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
want to work on, but
yeah,
uh, uh,
yeah. I am saying that
presently, yes.
this type of alignment, if we do, it requires huge computational power. So
Yeah.
how, if we can use hidden Markov model or like that algorithm to identify the mutations, or to identify the frequency of these positions, to identify the mutations, so how it would be? So I was just telling this point, because alignment requires huge computational power.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Another thing is that it did not become clear to me that what was your null hypothesis and what was alternative hypothesis during the statistical changes you showed in that analysis. So what was that null hypothesis? I did not get that point.
Bas-
That
basically uh, basically we focus on the computational cost, because computational cost, if we saw the many tools, it takes much more time. So how can we reduce this computational cost? It's a very challenging thing.
okay. Okay. So that was from my side.
Hi Vikal.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this is Dee from IIT Bombay. So it was a pretty good presentation. So I just want to have a very basic question. Like you have talked about four classification machine learning strategies, right? AdaBoost, KNN, and random forest, and I think the other one was
SVM.
SVM, right?
SVM.
Yeah. So yeah. So what was the rationale behind choosing only these four classifications strategies, because there are multiple classification strategies already available.
Yeah, very good question. When I choosing these four algorithms, the working of these four are very different.
Mhm.
When we talk about KNN, that it could not train data, it spread the data. In KNN, it could not train data. Initially, it could spread all the data with points. While we talk about random forest, it's work on the concept of parallel ensembling.
Right.
And AdaBoost is work on sequencing assembling with motivated with the weak classifiers to become a great classifier, while SVM is work on the hyperplane. So the working of these four classifiers are very different. So our motto is in different type of criteria, how it will performance would be better. So that's why we choose these four algorithms, machine learning algorithms.
Right. So these four algorithms were chosen based on their like working principle, right? That
Yes.
you were trying to see that all these four like classification or strategies works on different principles. So you are just trying to see, though we have four different principles, but still you want to see the how these particular two methods, whatever you have developed, which is coming better in terms of both
Yes, sure. Yes,
computer cost.
yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, that's great. Any more questions?
Yeah, Vikalp, I have one question. So
Yes, sir.
basically, you are talking about the point mutation, and as per the hardcore biology, the things are determined during the nucleic acid only.
Yes, sir.
So, like if there is a mutation in the nucleic acid sequence, it will change the some sort of restriction endonucleoside. So, whatever the proteins needs to be formed, they get truncated or something like misfolded protein forms. Okay, due to that point mutation. So, are you applying some machine ML based approach for identifying those hotspots also?
No, sir. Right now, not, sir. We only identified frequency of protection which happened in European patient data set only. Ki how frequently locations, positions are present where mutation happens. Actually, sir, I am not from core biology. I am from computer science background. So that's I give not very in-depth knowledge of biology.
Okay. Any more suggestions
Thank
or
you,
questions?
Vikalp. It's like it's a very wonderful talk.
Yes. So, with your permission, I would like to thank Dr. Sanjeeva sir for being present here and motivate us throughout the entire journal club meeting. I would like to thank Dr. Arup sir for his cooperation and assistance. A big thanks to our both presenter Mr. Loki and Mr. Vikal. They have done really hard work and they have done a great job to conclude this meeting successfully. And finally, a big thanks to all of you people that you joined our journal club meeting and concluded it to a successful notes. So, with all of your permission, I would like to conclude this meeting here with promise to see you people in the upcoming meeting. So, till then, I would like to thank you all on behalf of entire Omics team. Thank you.
No, very good. So I think you guys should keep it up, and more students should get opportunity to present here. This is probably a good forum for all of you to get more confidence and make it more interactive. To improve your skills as well as share your knowledge. All right. Well, let's close the meeting then. Thank you, Arup, for guiding them, and all of you for taking this leap forward.
Okay.
Okay, thank you all, and we will see you soon in the next journal club meeting. I'm stopping the meeting.
Thank you, sir.